Hey guys, Andy here. It's like 5:30 a.m. and I should really be doing some homework and stuff, but I'm not because I wanted to record this video. And I was debating with myself like, should I really be recording this video? But I thought like, well, I'll get into that, but yeah, like I think it's been a while since I always say it's been a while, but I think it's been a while since I just recorded an off the cuff video like super late in the morning or super late at night or super early in the morning, just like, because I used to do that, I used to stream at 3 a.m. and like do all this wild shit, and I feel like I don't do that very much on the channel anymore, and it's like, I feel like if I just let what I want to say right now sit and I just went to bed or continued doing my homework without articulating, what's in my mind. It's just going to sit in the back of my mind, and then I'm going to keep waiting for the right opportunity to say it. And I'll never get to say it because, I'll keep saying, like, I'll talk about it after I finish this homework, or, after I get enough sleep, and, I want to say shit, I want to, like, use this freaking channel. Like, this channel, I want it to be, like, something that I can use to express myself and, like, get ideas out there. If I just keep waiting forever to, like, because I wanted to get that video where I talk about tips for how to practice, but I haven't done that in like weeks as I've been waiting for the right times. And it's like, it's my channel, I should just choose when to upload things. It's a whole process. Like, I'm still figuring things out. I've been figuring a lot of things out past couple weeks, past few however long months maybe. But yeah, anyway, topic of this video. Don't know what this video is gonna be called, but I feel like just saying this because I feel like if I save it for later, I'm gonna lose the steam for the idea. So anyway, yeah. I don't know. So on to the actual video. I don't know how many of you guys who are clicking on this video and watching it right now are following me on Twitter. I'm not gonna plug it just because like I don't really care. Like, I guess I can link it in the. Fuck it. My at is ShowAndyPugman. That's just go there. I mostly retweet art and like political shit, and also like just type out random stuff going on in my life. So feel free to follow that if you want. But I don't know how many of you guys follow me on Twitter, and of those of you who do follow my Twitter, I don't know how many of you saw my twit longer about this, because I wrote a twit longer about this. Every YouTuber has to write a cool, like, funny twit longer, or like a cool, super personal twit longer. But I wrote a twit longer about how I'm queer, and how I came to this realization, what it's meant to me, and I got a lot of support on it. Well, like a decent amount based on the replies and the likes and stuff. And I was happy to have announced it. I didn't make a video about it just because I didn't really feel like it warranted its own video. Me going like, hey, I'm queer, and then ending the video because I had nothing else to release, because I wouldn't really have been able to think of anything else to say. But I made that announcement. If you guys want the long, like I would prefer if you guys read the twit longer, because I was pretty heartfelt about it, and I think it is something important that if you care enough to watch this video, then I think you guys, like whoever you are, if you care enough to have clicked on this video, you should watch, you should read the twit longer. But long story short, as a follow-up to that cross-dressing video I uploaded a week or so ago, maybe like 2 weeks ago, whatever the case, I brought it up with my therapist, because I've been seeing a therapist. I mentioned this in my Deltarune video. I keep thinking like, you should be saying this stuff. You're on YouTube. This is your channel. You have to like, be careful what you say so you can put up like a good impression. But it's like, I already said that. Like, that's bullshit that well, that's its own thing. Like, that's a tangent. I'm not saying that, public figures shouldn't maintain appearances and like shouldn't curate and be careful of what they say, because the words might influence people, because that is something I feel pretty strongly about. I feel like, if you have a following on the internet and you have impressionable viewers who, will be affected by what you say, you should be careful of what you freaking say. Like, that's something that I, as someone with 3,000 subscribers, can grasp, but apparently big name YouTubers and influencers can't. But I was thinking, like, I shouldn't say X. I shouldn't say I have a boyfriend, or I shouldn't, you know, I shouldn't, say I'm going to see a therapist because I don't want to, project this version of myself on YouTube that people might not like. And it's like, fuck that, man. Like, again, I don't want to push people away on purpose or, overplay, parts of myself just because I feel like, that's quote unquote being genuine when it's really not. Because I feel, I'm still learning and navigating that and still trying to figure that stuff out. But, like, I don't want to hide stuff is the thing. Like, I don't know if that whole outburst I just had right there was me, exaggerating things, but I mean, I have a boyfriend. You got a boyfriend. I bet he doesn't kiss ya. I'm sorry. I don't know if I mentioned it. I don't think I've mentioned it in previous videos and streams, but I do. He's I'm not gonna shout him out because I don't think he would appreciate the attention. But yeah. But like, okay, I'm rambling. What I'm talking, long and short of it was that I brought up the cross-dressing thing. I brought up the cross-dressing thing to my therapist, and after talking about it with her for a little bit, she asked if I identify with being queer, and I didn't really know how to respond because I didn't really know how to respond because that word I feel like has been associated with some sketchy stuff in the past. Like, there have been debates in the LGBTQ community that, queer might not be the best word to use. It might have some bad baggage, etc. And B, I just never really could associate myself with that concept. Never thought like, I'm queer. I never really thought about it that way. But after thinking about it for a while, I kind of realized that, as far as I know, being queer, all that means is that you don't let, stereotypical and like traditional gender norms define you. And, you have a focus on being yourself above all else. You don't say that, oh, because guys shouldn't, wear nail polish and, act in a certain way that I shouldn't do that. And it's like, queer people just like, if you're queer, then you don't really care about that. You just you flaunt yourself. You don't really care about gender norms, etc., etc. And if this is like woefully miseducated, then I apologize. But like, that's what it felt like to me. And after thinking about it for a while, I feel like, yeah, that's a good fit for me. That's something that I think could apply to me a lot. I think that's something that I'm comfortable with, the idea of me being queer. And so I announced it on Twitter after a little bit of deliberation. I announced it in that Twit longer, and I got some nice responses. And I mean, I don't want to like draw too much attention to it, but like, I do have now. I mean, I don't know if you can see it on my toes, but I do have like nail polish on there, and I also have it on my fingers. I think it looks pretty nice. Up close, it looks kind of shit, but meh. Yeah, so you'll see it in like piano covers and stuff, and like, what am I trying to say here? Like, I know there's probably going to be a reaction. I mentioned this in the cross-dressing video too. Consider this video to be like a sort of like a continuation or an extension or a logical progression of that video, because like I mentioned in that video that I feel like a natural response to that announcement is people going like, oh great, what does this mean for the future of Shini's channel? Because I know that's something that it pops into my mind a lot when I like YouTubers I like make a profound announcement about themselves, or like, they make a big announcement like, hey, I'm gay, or I'm queer, I'm whatever, and you're like, okay, good for you, but you don't have to share it with me, like, it doesn't really matter. And like, and also like, you notice after this person, at least in my experience, I've seen like, after this person like unveils, this fact about themselves, their content changes to reflect that in some way. And sometimes there's a change that you don't appreciate. Maybe they, overemphasize it in your opinion, you get annoyed by it. Or maybe like they shift away from creating the content that you always liked. And I don't really want to say like, because I think in the cross-dressing video, I very, very much defensively said like, and nothing on my channel is going to change. It's going to be the same. Don't worry about it. Same. And because that relates to the reason why I'm making this video in the first place. Like, I guess to switch over to that real quick. I was doing some reading for a class I'm taking in college this quarter about subcultures, and the article was about I wrote a big like sort of ramble about this on my personal Discord server, but to summarize, the article was about it was a survey. It was like a study that was conducted on this group of gay men and bisexual men on college campus, basically just asking them like, how do you dress and why do you dress the way you do? And a lot of the respondents were saying like, I dress the way I want to dress. I don't want to dress, too gay, because I don't want my gayness to define me. I don't want to be seen as this stereotype of a person who just lets their, I don't want to be seen as this gay stereotype of like, flaunting around and like, this, I want to be myself. And like, that's, obviously I understand that because that's something that I've probably said verbatim before. Like, I don't want to be this. I don't want to be, I don't want to be this. I want to be myself. I'm gay, but that's not my defining quality. I don't even know if I've said on this channel that I'm gay before. I think you guys could probably piece that together, but, and again, okay, I feel the need to say this as well. Like, if your gut reaction to this, we've stuck around this whole video and you're like, why the hell are you telling me this? Like, why does this matter? Like, literally, like, this is TMI. Like, because part of the reason why I'm making this video is because I want to send a good message, because, like, there's a message that I want to send about all this. There's a reason why I'm doing all this rambling. There's a message I want to send, and, like, again, I don't want to hide shit. Like, I don't want to feel like I have to put up a front when I hold up this camera and I say, hey guys, Show Andy here. I don't want to feel like I'm projecting this image of someone who I'm not, just so I can get the support and, support and like just, appreciation of my viewers. I don't want to feel like every second I have to be like, okay, don't mention that thing, because if you do, people might be like, what? I want to, in a lot of ways, it kind of reminds me a lot of the last couple of weeks in response to this whole like me being queer thing. It kind of made me think back to this video is really disjointed. I'm sorry. I'll try to focus it up. I've thought back a lot about the way I was and the kind of person I was back in high school, because I feel like high school in a lot of ways, when I was in high school, was sort of the glory days of my channel, because I really did feel like back in that time I just did whatever I wanted on this channel. I streamed at 3 a.m. I recorded myself talking about whatever shit I wanted to talk about, and I feel like part of the reason why that was the case was just that I felt really comfortable with myself back in high school. I felt, very certain of my own identity. I felt very confident in who I was. I didn't feel like I had anything to hide. And as a result, I didn't feel ashamed, like, recording videos at 3 a.m. about the solstice run of One Shot and shit and stuff like that. Or, recording a fucking 40-minute video where I just talked about the state of my channel and like played Skyrim. That's a different video, but like, nowadays I feel like the idea of doing that just feels so alien to me, because it's like, I think ever since I went to college, I think I've had doubts about my identity, especially after going to China and that whole debacle, I've really had, you know, anxieties and fears about who I am as a person and like my identity, the sanctity of my identity, the integrity of my identity and stuff. And I feel like that's been something that's really been getting to me and on my mind. And I feel like that's, I might have mentioned this in the update video, the Deltarune update video, but I feel like that increased sort of that sense that I'm no longer as confident in who I am, that I'm not as sure of who I am. I feel like that's really, really strongly correlated with the reason why this channel has been, you know, so inactive and why I haven't been using it very much, just because I stream and I record these videos and it feels like I'm not being, you know, 100% myself. I feel like I'm having to hide stuff. And again, like, I mean, part of that is just I don't really know what myself means, like, because again, I'm still in that self-discovery phase, I think, but I think that is a big reason why I've been so, like, hesitant to upload and do stuff with this channel, just because I'm scared of, like, I don't feel confident enough in myself, because, you know, my YouTube channel is supposed to be a broadcasting of myself to the world, and if I'm not confident enough in myself and who I am, then how am I supposed to do that, you know, in good faith, and, you know, be proud of what I put out there? So I guess this video is a way of me trying to clear the air and just cement a lot of stuff, just so it feels more like when I press the record button or start streaming, that it's really me who's being broadcast to the world, and I don't have to be ashamed of it. Because that's the big thing that I wanted to talk about with this video, is the idea of being ashamed of who you are. Because, like, again, back to that article I was reading, a lot of the people who were interviewed in that study said, like, you know, I don't want my gayness to define me. I don't want it to define me. I'm a person with a lot of, you know, aspects to my identity, and being gay isn't the only one of that. Like, you know, if the feeling that if they dress too gay, then people might, you know, just dismiss them as just, oh, he's another, like, you know, gay stereotypical guy. And, like, again, I understand that. Me personally, I have like been, you know, found myself annoyed by people who it feels like their only defining trait is being gay, like, you know, or whatever. Like, you know, you probably know the kind of people I'm talking about, the kind of person I'm talking about, I'm sure. But, like, I was thinking about it, and I was thinking, like, in a sense, it's pretty, like, especially in relation to me being queer, and, like, the sort of experience I've been having with that, it kind of made me think that, like, it is kind of fucked up that gay people and queer people and trans people and lesbian people and, like, all these people who are, you know, marginalized and, you know, aren't in the majority and haven't been for their whole lives, how they feel this almost compulsive. Because, I mean, I don't know, I guess for me you could describe it as compulsive, but I definitely feel it's like in a lot of other people too, especially, that there's this almost compulsive need to be like, hey, you know, I'm Andy, I'm gay, but that doesn't define me. That's not the most important thing about me. That's, you know, it's just another thing. You know, I have plenty of important qualities, etc., etc. And it's like, you think about that for more than a few seconds, and you realize how fucked up that is. At least I think it's fucked up, because it's like, I don't want to. I'm sure there's gonna be people viewing this and rolling their eyes and being like, ugh, you know, another SJW or whatever. But, like, I don't want to bring this. I don't want to use this language because people are inevitably going to roll their eyes. But, like, straight people never feel the need to append their straightness with, but that doesn't define me. You know, you shouldn't view me only as a straight person. You should view me as, you know, a person with my own qualities, because there is an implicit sense that being gay being straight doesn't somehow invalidate every other part of yourself and every other part of your being, that you have to somehow defend who you are against these accusations, that you are yourself in spite of you being straight. Despite the fact that you are straight, you are still, a person deserving of respect, and you're still a person with an interesting personality, and, who deserves to, to have friends and, have people be interested in you in spite of the fact that you're straight. That sensibility, that sense doesn't exist. Like, and it doesn't exist, and it feels, you think about it, and to me, it just struck me as so unfair that, these people who are marginalized, they've almost sort of internalized that sense of, because society, I mean, I'm not pointing fingers here, but I feel like, I'm pretty sure most people would agree that society in some way marginalizes, LGBT people. There's an implicit sense, whether people are conscious of it or not, of othering of LGBT people, that they're different, that they're, fundamentally, different from, straight people and cis people. You learn that someone is, what I'm trying to say? Like, there's this sense that, I lost my train of thought. It's 6 a.m. Fuck. But it's just you. Just the fact that there is this need for people to backpedal and to, say because in my personal experience the past couple of weeks, I kept finding myself thinking to myself, I'm Shao Andy, the fucking person with 3,000 subscribers on YouTube, and the person who left all those comments in the Undertale and Hamilton and off OSTs, person who's probably recognized throughout a lot of the Undertale community as the guy who left all those comments. I'm the guy who did this, I'm the guy who does this. I can't be queer. How does that make sense? I can't wear nail polish. I can't, want to try to change my voice to sound more high pitched so I can be more comfortable with it and not experience a weird sense of dysphoria every time I talk nowadays. I can't, cross dress and do all this shit. That doesn't make sense. That's not compatible. And that's fucking bullshit, because it's not. Literally, that's just me trying to become more comfortable with myself, and I kind of like this, this way of putting it in the article, to make my inner and outer selves feel more congruent. I think that was a good way of putting it. And just this implicit idea that me wearing nail polish or cross-dressing or doing anything to try to become more comfortable with myself somehow makes me less deserving of respect, or less, somehow invalidates the fact that I am, Andy Shao, somehow invalidates my previous sort of achievements and accomplishments as a person, somehow makes me less deserving of respect from other people. That's bullshit. And that's the effect of it's again, I'm not pointing fingers, I'm not pointing blame at any specific person, but that's the effect of we live in a society, haha, funny, of living in a society that's that's the effect of living in a society that your entire life treats behaviors and attitudes and stuff that break gender norms and break break heteronormativity as different and wrong. I don't want to single anyone out as an example, because I feel like that would be insensitive, but there are people in my life who are extremely important to me and who I'm very close to, who are great people, who are amazing people, who are some of the best people I've ever met. They have voiced, some of them have voiced their support of me wanting to cross-dress and become more comfortable with myself and all this stuff, but I still get the lingering sense that, they view me as different for it. And I mean, I guess that's inevitable, because someone your whole life to be a certain way, and then they reveal a part of themselves that you never knew about, and so you're gonna be surprised. I'm not blaming them for that, but it's just even the most well-intentioned, kind person in living in a society like ours that, you know, treats people who break heteronormativity as like things and behaviors that, you know, what's the word? That defy heteronormativity as, you know, different and like just alien. That kind of like, even the most kind-hearted person and the most, you know, good person living in that kind of society, without the proper sort of education and the proper sort of, you know, interaction with people within those communities, those LGBTQ communities, without that, like, even the most good person can wind up adopting, consciously or not, those sort of bad, like, those sort of views of viewing gay and queer and trans people as just different and just, you know, othering them, whether they know it or not. And that's something that I think I and a lot of LGBTQ people internalize that sense, because I kept thinking, like, past couple weeks, in the past week or so since I made that realization that I'm queer, I kept thinking to myself, like, do you really, I kept asking myself, like, you don't really like having nail polish on, or, you know, acting in these sort of queer ways and exploring that stuff. You just say you do because, you know, you've tricked yourself into thinking blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, like, that's, if there's anyone who knows what I want, it's me. Like, that's pretty damn obvious. And it's just this internalized sense of, like, because again, you live, you know, that thing, that kind of stuff just sticks with you, and it's why, you know, I feel like there's such a pushback, and a fear of being, like, I feel like that's why it's so difficult for people to really, really, truly be themselves and figure out what it means to be themselves, because there's so many layers that you have to sort of dig through, these layers that society's heaped up inside of you of, like, this resistance that's been ingrained inside of you of that you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that, blah, 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 blah. But it's like, I don't know. Like, I said in, is there anything else I want to say before I get to this? Like, fucking, I don't know, I should probably wrap up this video relatively soon, so. I mentioned, to cap off my sort of ramble in my Discord server, that in the same vein that people say, take care of your mental health without really pondering what that actually means and applying it to their lives. Like I mentioned, I talked about this in the Deltarune/life update video again. Like, I talk about how people say that, but they don't really think about that, what that actually means. They don't really realize that take care of your mental health means actively seek out things that can help with your mental health, and, like, you know, try to find stuff that can help you out with it, etc., etc. Like, in that same vein, people always say, don't be ashamed of who you are. And, like, that's a good message, but I feel like people don't take they don't really ponder what that actually means and how they can apply it to their lives. Because, like, you say, don't be ashamed of who you are, but what does that really mean? Like, it means, like, if you really think about it and break it down, it means that, like, be yourself, you are who you are, and, like, if there is parts of yourself that, you know, you feel like other people, especially people who are close to you, wouldn't approve of or appreciate because, you know, of whatever reason, because society looks down on it, that you don't feel like you have to hide it just because, don't hide it just because you feel like you have to, you know? Like, I feel like I'm not putting this the best way I can, but I guess that is the message I want to send with this video to any viewers who, you know, because I did get a couple, or like one or two comments on the cross-dressing video saying that, like, There are some people out there, some of my viewers, who want to try cross-dressing themselves, and like my videos was sort of inspiring to them because they felt, validated, and they felt like they weren't alone in their experience. So I guess this is also another video about that. Like, I don't want people. I want at least one person to be able to watch this video and come to the realization that that there are parts of themselves that they've been neglecting, either because they've been scared of how other people will react, or just because they've internalized the idea that they shouldn't, express these, aspects of themselves. And I want, even if just one person watches this video and thinks to themselves, like, yeah, it is kind of fucked up that I'm hiding this part of myself just because I feel like I have to. And as a result, they can start taking the first steps towards becoming more comfortable and happy with themselves. Then mission complete. Then I'll have been happy with this video, and I'll have been glad that I uploaded this video. And that's the goal. That's why I wanted to make this video, and it's... Yeah, I guess this video served a couple purposes: clearing the air, sort of status update, like making sure that, because again, I'm still in the process of navigating all this, and I don't know, like, the way I've been acting throughout this video, the very sort of trademark Shaw-Andy behavior of going on rambles and like making weird dumb jokes and like, talking in a kind of low voice, etc., etc. That might not be what I act like in the future. I might, change how I act, or or I might act in a different way so that I might act in a different way, which I might find that a different way of acting turns out to be a more genuine and real reflection of, myself, and a better way of, conveying who I am and what I want to convey. And so, who knows? Because I'm still trying to figure it out, and like that's one of the purposes, and the other purpose is just get the message out there that, like, don't be ashamed of who you are, and like just like don't be afraid to let some aspect of your identity define you, because that word was thrown around a lot in the article I was reading. Like, these gay people didn't want their gayness to define them, and it's like, maybe I'm misinterpreting what define means, but like, why wouldn't you want something that's important to you to define you? Like, that's kind of fucked up, isn't it? Like, yeah, so I guess those are the two reasons for making this video. Yeah, I think if we're gonna go back to like what this means for my channel and stuff, because I mentioned in the cross-dressing video, like, oh, nothing's gonna change. Like, I don't fucking know. Like, I'm sure that the main sort of content on my channel is going to be still piano covers, like, or I mean, to the extent that it has been, because it kind of hasn't been recently. But I'm still gonna stream, I'm sure. I'm still gonna do piano covers, I'm sure. But the way I act, the way I carry myself, the fact that I wear nail polish and stuff, like, that might change, but I'm still gonna be Andy, okay? Like, I'm still gonna be the person that you've been subscribed to for however long. The same person who uploaded Pianolovania 4 years ago. Like, that's not gonna change, okay? I'm sure if you've watched all the way up to this point, this isn't one of your concerns, but I don't want, maybe I'm just anticipating the worst, but I know that if I were to watch, at least at some point in my life, if I were to have watched one of my favorite YouTubers, well, pretty presumptuous for me to assume that I'm someone's favorite YouTuber, but like, if I were to watch a YouTuber who I, really enjoyed, if I were to watch a video of theirs, or they make some big announcement about themselves, then one of my big concerns is like, oh, but what if, I guess, I would be like, oh, they've changed, they're not the same person as the person who I subscribed to, et cetera, et cetera. Like, if that is your concern, then like, don't like, like, that's just another, if that's what you're thinking, then that's just another byproduct of the othering and marginalizing society that we live in. Like, that's the best way I can put it. I feel like we're all trying to figure out who we are. We're all trying to navigate our own identities, and it's hard and it's not easy, especially when there's so much stuff getting in the way and so much, confusing things to navigate. But I just hope that this video can maybe help someone in that sort of process. So yeah, I really need to finish my homework, so see you guys around.